Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Cinema d'Amore. I'm your host, Chuck, joined by
Justin.
And yeah,
I'm your co-host.
You're someone here.
I'm the person that you can bounce your ideas off of.
So it's what you're here for. And we're continuing on this year, just connecting things. And I'm interested to see. Definitely so far, but I think this might be one of the harder ones for you to connect because it's a loose connection. I'll say that. I don't know if you've got any ideas or if you need to talk it out.
We are talking about Soderbergh's Traffic from 2000, and it's connected to Licorice Pizza from 2021, and I don't really know if I know. There wasn't anything that was like blatantly in my face, like, yeah, I'll try a few things. Does it have anything to do with the setting of California?
No.
Does it have anything to do with inappropriate relationships?
No.
Oh, God. I don't really know if I've got it. There is no waterbed scenes that I can remember.
Unfortunately, no.
I mean, they were selling drugs. Is it selling drugs?
No.
Okay. I mean, it wasn't the big empire process that we see in Traffic.
I think all of our movies so far this year have had drugs. That's really the underlying theme so far for the year, is they're all drugs in some way.
Well, I thought the connectivity was stronger with Amores Perros than it was Licorice Pizza. I was like, this seems to be more connected with that movie. No, I don't even know. Like, was there any actors that were the same?
No.
I
You're
have
closer
no idea.
there, though. You're closer. You're getting closer to the...
Is it the composer or something?
No. Colder. I couldn't have even named the composer until I had to look it up after watching this movie. I could tell it was the same composer that did. He's done a few different Soderbergh things.
It's Clint Mansell, right?
No.
Well, I just saw him do something. Maybe it was
this guy's done
Contagion
too. That's the one it most made me think of listening to this. I was like, I can definitely tell it was the same guy that did Contagion at the very least.
I have no idea. You're not telling me.
Come back if you wanna. If you give up, you give up.
All right, I'll just pay attention to what you're saying during this episode, and if anything sparks it, then I'll butt in. But
I'll think about it.
I don't really know.
I'm gonna drop it somewhere in here. I'll say something, and we'll see if you pick up on the clue.
I won't.
Yeah, probably not. But
I won't pick up on it.
It's a great movie. Out of everything, I don't think I've seen every single one of his movies, especially his more recent stuff, but I don't know. There's something about...
He had a brand new movie this weekend, Chuck.
And I'm interested to see...
It's like from the perspective of a ghost or a poltergeist or something like that.
It has good reviews. It has like a terrible cinema score because people are probably like, I don't understand what's supposed to be going on here.
I heard the camera work and it's like insane, but probably because it's a poltergeist, so it's like probably going through walls and shit.
I mean, he likes to shoot his own stuff. He did on this one, so he likes to be his own director of photography.
But even this, like, I didn't think anything was like wildly crazy. Like, he's very much what is important to the scene, and he's not usually over stylized for the sake of being over stylized. No. To kind of see him go unhinged with a fucking ghost or whatever just seems kind of cool to me.
He does like his filters in this one. That's his key way of differentiating the stories. Is blue or is it yellow?
Yes. Or, well, there's a few that aren't Washington and or California. The minute you go below the border, you're yellow. And then if you're in Ohio, you're blue. I don't mind that. He doesn't want to confuse anybody, so he's literally like, they should associate the colors, and if they don't, I'm fucking telling them where they're at every time we move around.
Is he the first person to do that? Because that feels like such a thing now, because everyone even points out like other things that he's done since then that they're like, oh, do you want it to seem like, do you want to make sure people know it's in Mexico? Well, you better make sure there's a yellow filter on the camera.
Oh, even when they show that, when they show the border and there's that little thing, I don't know what you want to call it, the little post that says U.S. Mexico, we're on the U.S. side, so there's no filter.
I think they even do that when in a similar scene.
Does this have anything to do with box trucks?
No.
Okay, I was like, does the connection have anything to do with a box truck?
I think they do that on a scene where it's supposed to be the character's point of view. Is you see Michael Douglas when he's visiting the border, but he's on the American side, like you said. But when he looks on to the Mexican side, I think it's like, maybe I'm like misremembering it, but I feel like when he's looking through the binoculars, everything's yellow on the other side of the border. Like it's even supposed to look like from his point of view looking into Mexico. It looks yellow when he looks into it.
Yeah, there's a scene with Catherine Zeta-Jones where she's like stuck in actual traffic coming back across the border, and I feel like that isn't filtered.
Yeah.
And she's technically on the Mexican side. Maybe it matters where the camera is. Like if the camera's on our side, then fine. But I didn't catch the thing with the binoculars, but you're probably right. Which would be hilarious. Like it's just instantly yellow on that side. Ambiguous endings.
Nope.
Violence.
They're all violent.
Police brutality.
It's a great movie. I mean, it has a very documentary-like feel. There's rarely a scene that is on like a tripod or a set camera. It's pretty much always just him walking around with it or holding it. It always has that feel of that these are real people. It seems too, I wouldn't be surprised if there's real people that work for like the DEA in this film, because there's people that just don't seem like they're actors at all in some of the scenes where Michael Douglas is interacting with people in the government. Like there's just, I'm like, I think that guy might just genuinely be an actual like government agent or something.
They pulled the Brad Pitt F1 thing. They just like led him into into like a private thing to just talk about drugs.
Hang out there and have a drug meeting.
You're gonna be the drug czar. I like this movie a lot. I think the thing that I like the most about Soderbergh is the way that he crafts all of his movies. He's able to do so many different genres, and it never necessarily ever feels like it's him. I don't know if there's any style that I can pick up besides, like you said, the filter thing, but he still doesn't always do that. I don't know. Because then I think after this, he starts doing his Oceans movies.
Yeah.
I think those were early 2000s. Like, I think it's like 2001 for Ocean's 11.
Yeah. This must have been where he met Don Cheadle and was like, oh, you got to put Don Cheadle in and have him do the worst British accent you've ever heard in your life. Then follow that up with, man, everyone loved Catherine Zeta-Jones in Traffic. I'm going to put her in Ocean's 12, and everyone's going to love her in that, too.
I mean, this is a pretty big ensemble cast. I mean, but I wouldn't say it's not the first time he's done it. He's done it before that. Yeah. I immediately think of Out of Sight, which there's a lot in that. Maybe it's not jumping around between the characters as much, but neither is Ocean's 11. Ocean's 11's definitely more focused on the three main characters, and then it will definitely show the smaller, like the B characters whenever the heist is actually starting to take place, or you need to see what they're doing with their part. This is sort of like, I would say, Benicio del Toro, Javier Rodriguez, right? Something like that. He's Rodriguez twice. I don't know if he says his name twice, or that his name's actually Javier Rodriguez. He's our protagonist by having the most screen time, and then you're probably going into Michael Douglas, his kid. What's her name? Caroline or something? I already forgot her name.
Yeah.
And then Catherine Zeta-Jones and Don Cheadle. I'm trying to think if there's another person that's like really gets followed by themselves.
I don't think so.
Because that Miguel Ferrer, you always see him with like Don Cheadle. I feel like every other character is like never really by themselves. They're always with one of those 5 people.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of characters that never even interact with each other. The ones that are the most closely together is like Don Cheadle, Louis Guzman, Catherine Zeta-Jones, Dennis Quaid. They're all in the same general setting together.
I don't think Dennis Quaid shares a scene with anybody besides Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Maybe not.
Unless you want to count the courthouse scene, which honestly, I don't even know, like, if he's in the background, really. He's only in close-up shots or something. Also, that actor that's her husband, he's the guy from Breaking Bad, right?
I mean, he's the guy from Scarface. I'd say that's his...
Oh, yeah, he's the best friend or whatever. Yeah, it's the same guy. Well, I'm seeing him older, and that was a while ago. Although some people were young, like I want to call him Roger Sterling, who was in it for like 1 second. He was very young looking.
Oh, yeah.
But then, as we pointed out, it was only 8 years. This movie's only 8 years before Mad Men, so I'm sure Mad Men just like whitened his hair, and we were like, oh, I think he's older. Wait. Yeah, the Guzman too, or Guzman, right? Yeah. He's just Guzman. I've never seen a guy move so much in my life as he does in this movie. I know it's probably stunt double, but watching him chase after Miguel Ferrer, where he jumps up on that car and then like over the fence, that's the most I've ever seen that guy ever move in anything.
He had to do a lot of hard work for this film.
He murdered a guy.
That guy deserved it.
Oh, and what's his name? Colin Clifton Jr. I feel like this is. I'm trying to like pinpoint these people to like the earliest time that I've seen them, and I feel like this has to be one that like he looks way young in this.
Yeah, this would have been an early one for him. Yeah, this is probably Topher Grace's first movie, because pretty much he just
Yeah.
did that '70s show.
Yeah, no, that was probably. This might even have been before that '70s show. I don't even know
It
when that
might have been
'70s show was
either
happening.
that or it was like very early on. It was close.
He's pretty good. I don't hate my Topher Grace. I think he's fine. He's very nonchalant in this. I'm a huge fan of the overdosing scene. I think it's fucking hilarious. They're just like when they're all at I don't know, one of their houses, I guess. Are you okay, Chuck?
I don't know what's going on.
You scowled. Yeah, but like their friend who's just like it's a great. I love the editing in this. It's just this one guy that just keeps sorting coke.
He's so sweaty.
Like they're talking and like he's sweating to death. He's snorting every 2 seconds, and then he starts overdosing on the floor and like convulsing and stuff. And it was like, you know, your first thoughts like they're like he's like cutting this way too much because like there's no way that guy's doing that much drugs, and it was.
Yeah.
Also, wherever the hell they were, I thought that there was a mirror behind them, but they were actually other people. So
I know. Yeah. Having a completely different conversation
it's just the four of
themselves. Yeah. I love when they go to.
I do love that
dump him,
scene too, where they drop the guy
the
off.
cops are just immediately like right there, like, "Oh, hey, we got you."
Yeah, and he's like, "Fuck," and nothing happens to him. They lie their way out of it.
Yeah, she just goes to some therapy.
I'm trying to remember. That actress has been in Will Trent recently, but like I don't remember her from doing really like anything. She was the swim fan.
Anything
girl.
between anything.
Yeah. It was on, and I was like, "Hey, that's the traffic swing fan girl." I can't think she's been in anything else. But like even her story, which is just kind of like fucking sad. It's like Soderbergh doesn't have to be gratuitous about anything. Like her scenes where she's like selling herself for drugs are awful, and all he'll do is like a close up of her face. Although it did kind of gross me a little bit when she like finds that drug dealer's like she's going through this bag, she finds the syringe, and he's like, hell yeah. And he's like starts like smacking her foot like, okay, we're gonna shoot you up in the foot here. But I was saying inappropriate relations because there's like 2 scenes where it's like that guy's definitely would be a pedophile, and the scene where Michael Douglas, like, is it Michael Douglas that finds her with that guy that's like, I didn't do anything yet, like, and she says that she's 16, so that's where I thought maybe that was going. I do like that plot line though, where he's the drug czar, and trying to figure out how to fight the war on drugs. And his whole character arc is basically that we're not attacking it in the right way at all. Even the one guy he's talking to at the political party thing has a good point where he's like, you know, even if we have 25% or whatever, I don't remember his math, and we bring it down to 10%, you know, that's going to look really good, but we also have 10% still out there using these drugs.
Yeah, like if Topher Grace says that like real big monologue, and he's like, I can't believe you brought her to a place like this, and he's like, what do you mean a place like this? These guys are just trying to make money. Like that. What do you think you're gonna do? You're gonna change anything? Like, they look at how much money they can make in a single day without having to really do anything. Like, why wouldn't you want to sell drugs like that?
Right. He said make $500 in 2 hours and then have the rest of the day to yourself. Why wouldn't you not want to do that?
Yeah.
I don't make $500 a day. If I did, I'd probably be in the same boat. I'd be like, yeah, I'm just gonna go make the money, and then a lot of people, I do like, they throw off the whole like when they're talking to the Mexican general or whatever the fuck he is, and they're like, you know, what about her rehabilitation? And he's like, it's not here in Mexico, but mostly the drugs take care of the problem for us when they overdose and kill themselves. Like that's what's rehabilitating people. They just end up dead.
Yeah. He starts to see that, you know, disconnect between he's trying to figure out the supply and demand of everything, and it's like, well, we've taken care of we know the demand is here, but what about the people supplying it? And then it's like, you get that general that it's like, what are you doing about the supply? And it's like, oh, well, we're trying to take down this one cartel, but at the same time, he's trying to help the other cartel get more power. That way he can profit off of them.
Right. We're taking out the Tijuana cartel, but our intentions are just because we're working for the Juarez, the cartel,
Yeah.
and we want that territory, and that's all it comes down to.
They gotta find they find that guy that it's like, oh yeah, that cartel leader died during a plastic surgery operation, and they go to like drop off Salma Hayek, who's basically just like a small cameo as like his girlfriend or something like that. And they go and there's a guy with like all this crap all over his face and all these bandages, and it's like, wait a second, that guy's still
He's the
alive.
Scorpion.
Yeah, that guy's still alive in there. He didn't die.
I do like, you look so handsome. His whole face is like stitched up. Is it him? Is it the Scorpion?
Yeah, it isn't.
No? What the hell did you say?
I mean, what are you asking? Are you asking, is that the connection, the Scorpion?
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah.
Is this the film that inspired Amelia Perez? It's all about a drug dealer getting plastic surgery to escape his life.
Maybe. I still have to watch that movie now that it's a Academy Award contender.
Yeah, now that it's going to be the
And
next Best Picture Oscar winner.
It sounds like it. It sounds like it's the movie that most people are like, eh. So, yeah, it'll probably be the one that wins.
I feel like it's the next Crash.
Yeah. The next Green Book.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. There's so many good moments in this movie too. So Soderbergh does this like, there's always a bigger fish type thing. I think it happens a few times in this movie. The first couple times it happens, you're not ready for it. Like when the scene opens with Benicio del Toro and his buddy, and they intercept these people that have the Scorpion's drugs. And then when they have the drugs, it's like within 2 seconds that the like militia comes to take it away from them. And then there's a scene later whenever they're trying to arrest Eduardo, whatever his name is, Miguel Ferreira. They're like waiting. They don't want to put these people's life in jeopardy. But then these like another division like shows up to like do the bust, and they're like, who the fuck are these people? And it just like everything goes into complete chaos. It almost, if it was shot differently, it would almost have been a very funny scene because everybody's just like shooting every which way, like nobody has a clue like what they're doing in that exact moment. And that's when he like, yeah,
some of the guys are in disguises as like grounds people or something. Like, no, yeah. We got badges.
And those weren't even the ones that like busted him. It was like, yeah, this like other group of people.
Yeah, he's definitely. I think he's another one of the Miguel Ferrer's another one of the characters. It seems to be the only one that really understands how any of this works. That's what he ends up telling Don Cheadle, like, none of this, all this could have been avoided if you'd just let my one shipment of drugs go through. Like, your partner would still be alive. None of this would have happened. All you had to do was just let my one shipment of drugs go through.
But he does admit, and it's a little foreshadowing too. He says, I got greedy. And that's the guy's downfall throughout this whole movie, is that he's just a hair too greedy about it. He wants to make the money. He's pushing himself a little too hard. He becomes too visible. And then later it's like he's stuck on the idea of immunity, and he's like instead of just doing the time, I don't know how long he'd be put away, but yeah, if he just did the time, he might be alive. Which is another fantastic moment. I like all those moments. Basically, they're trying to assassinate him several times in this movie, which is I like it because that's how they tie in Catherine Zeta-Jones, because her husband's in charge of the trafficking operation on the American side. She's very like innocent sounding, and then all of a sudden she's like, we gotta fucking kill this guy. Like I'm gonna have to hire somebody to kill him. I want to be innocent, but like, my life's, I'm not letting this all go away. I'm gonna have to. And I do love the scene where she meets him in the jail, and in prison, her husband. You don't see it until later. She's like in bed, and then she's having flashbacks of it where he's like being very obvious where to look. And I'm like, I like that it didn't dawn on her while she was having the conversation. It comes off like she's just in bed, like, oh shit.
That moment made me think of Arrested Development. It
Oh
very
yeah,
much
the
feels
money in the
like
banana
there's
stand.
there's always money in the banana stand. It's like, why do you keep telling me
Yeah,
that?
they don't get
Why
it.
are why are
Yeah.
you why are you keep why is he always telling me how there's money in the banana stand? I 100% thought of that moment when she's in bed and then is like, oh, that's what he was talking about. I couldn't help but think of the
He's like, he starts saying stuff really weird. He's like, you could say it's my private study. And like he gets real specific about the painting and everything. Yeah. And she's like, damn. I actually kind of thought she was going to be a better character, like after her kid got threatened for the $3 million, or they're going to like kill the child. And she goes out to see Don Cheadle and Luis Guzman and give them lemonade. Like, I that's a great scene too. Like, they look like they're in her fucking driveway. They don't look like they're like hidden anywhere well to begin with. But I do like that scene where she's coming towards them and they're like, "Oh shit, what are we supposed to do? We've been made."
That's another like funny thing of like I'm watching this movie and I started to think I was like, when did her and Michael Douglas get together? I was like, was it during this movie? And it's like, no, it's like 8 years later. Because yeah, they're in this movie, but they don't have any scenes together where they would have. I mean, they maybe met during like press things or on like red
The rap
carpet or
party.
something, but it's like they don't have any
Yeah.
scenes where they're together, so they didn't like really meet
The
each
table
other.
reading
Yeah,
that they had.
and yeah, it wasn't until like I said, it was like 8 years later that they were together. It's like, yeah, we made this movie. Oh, did you do any scenes together? Nope. Nope, not
And now
remotely.
they're like in nothing. I mean, I think she's in Wednesday now, and I
Yeah,
can't remember what.
they've kind
Like,
of
I haven't
both
seen them in
retired.
a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Well, he had cancer, and I think she's had like other health things, so it's like they both kind of retired from acting at this point for the most part. Yeah, she's in Wednesday with Louis Guzman.
Yeah, Kirk Douglas was kicking it for a long time. I think he died at like 103 a couple years ago.
Yeah,
I was like at the point where I'm like, he's just not gonna go. That guy, there's something with that guy. He's determined.
he's yeah, he's still around. He has his son in this movie. We get James Brolin, not Josh Brolin. We get all
Yeah.
the we get all the characters with their family members.
Is that your hint?
Is it?
I feel like it is. That's what I'm gonna go with.
What,
That's my
what,
guess. Again, that's like my 80th guess.
what are you going with? You got to say it.
I'm going with the actor's family being in it, like father being in it, family member being in it.
Yeah, you're close enough.
Perhaps a non-actor or somebody that's not usually acting in this movie
You're
because their
close enough.
families.
It's yeah. It's the son of a famous Hollywood actor.
You're connecting it to like Leonardo DiCaprio, or you're thinking Cooper
Yeah, Cooper
Hoffman
Hoffman.
yeah. There you go.
Leonardo DiCaprio.
I was thinking Leonardo DiCaprio's dad.
I mean, it's a family member of an actor.
Yeah, I easily didn't. Yeah, well,
Although you could say
Leo was too busy, so
you could say everyone's the family member of an actor. It's like, yeah, I mean, Dennis Quaid's, Randy Quaid's brother too.
yeah.
We
He's
can
so
connect
funny
him
in
to
this too.
everybody.
Like he does like, yeah, just that like he does like he's playing the leader of the Catherine Zeta-Jones' husband, the leader of the American. I don't know what to consider it. He's in charge. He's like in charge of the cartel on the American side.
Yeah.
And that scene at the end where he's just like kills him, like, you didn't tell me about that money and you were trying to take my wife away from me. Which I don't think he probably would,
Yeah.
but he didn't have any scenes where like he really seemed hard to be like pressuring her or something. Like, he's in jail, so let's hook up or something. Like that never happens in this movie. Yeah, and it's weird too, because like some of these people are. Topher Grace is a good example of somebody who's like he's been in more things recently than he had in a long time. He's in that new Mel Gibson movie where he's a flight risk, where he's the prisoner of a flight risk, and Mark Wahlberg's bald in it.
that was when I saw the picture of that, I was like, what is going on with Mark's hair?
If they were brilliant, which what they would have done is never reveal that he's bald like that until like the actual movie,
Yeah,
because you'd have so many people being like, "Holy hell, you have to see Mark Wahlberg's
you just
hair
have to
in
see
this!"
what
Like,
happens.
yeah, you don't even know. You don't even know. But yeah, like Douglas disappeared. I don't see him in anything. Don Cheadle's like Avengers and Soderbergh movies. He was in what was that Mafia one from like a few
Uh,
years ago
uh,
with
Nobody
Brendan
Move.
Fraser and stuff. He was in that.
Yeah, well, with wasn't Benicio del Toro in there with him too?
Probably. Benicio del Toro is in like fucking everything now.
He's a
I think his breakout role was probably The Usual Suspects, right?
yeah. Yeah, he's at the point where I'm like I don't think he'll turn down any role. He's like, sure, I'll do that. No Sudden Move was the name of it. Like I couldn't remember exactly what it was. And
Okay.
he is
I did like that movie.
Benicio del Toro is in that movie with Don Cheadle.
Yeah, he's all over the fucking place. I don't know. He's also a really great character in this. He doesn't really seem to be like he's able to be bought. And they talk about his paycheck, and
Yeah,
it basically ends up being like foreshadowing for his partner because they make the same shitty ass paycheck.
yeah.
So it's just like
And the general kind of
that whole
asks him
scene where
like, why do you keep doing this job? You don't not like you get paid for it. Like that's where you definitely know that yeah, he's doing it because he genuinely does want to take down the drugs, and that also seems like that's the only thing he cares about is trying to stop the drugs. Like you get that. I do love the scene with the tourist couple they're like, you don't understand, our car's missing, and he's like, here you go, call this number, and they'll find your
yeah,
car. And guy's like, I don't understand, and she's like, we call this number, and then the police will mysteriously find our car somewhere after we pay someone money. And they're like, can't we
yeah,
just give
like
you the money? He's like, oh, I'm not the money guy. I don't take money. Just call that number and they'll find your car.
yeah. Well, I also do like too, like a lot of stuff happens off screen for as long as this movie is, and how many characters it jumps around with, and it's usually with Benicio del Toro where they're like, "Here's this assassin guy. We're gonna need you to get him," and he's like in the bar chatting it up with him, and then the next minute he's like tied up, like and has him. They're like, "How the hell did you get him so fast?" Also, I love Clifton Collin Jr.'s cocaine nail. He had it like glossy and everything too.
That way you know what that nail's for.
He does like it's like 4 inches long. I also did think like he probably is a good assassin because he doesn't really come off as like a very threatening person by himself. And when he does get hired to kill Eduardo or whatever his name is, so he plants that bomb. I don't even know how that bomb works with the ignition because he just fucking sticks it on the bottom. So I assume he was just gonna like trigger it, when they were in the car. And then that scene too, when Don Cheadle walks past him and he kind of glances at him once, I thought he was gonna have like the Pulp Fiction moment where Marcellus Wallace is like, "Son of a bitch," like recognize him or something, but it never happens.
Yeah, I enjoy him talking
And then he
to
gets taken
Catherine
out.
Zeta-Jones on the phone, and he's like, all right, they're gonna get in the car. It's gonna happen. Oh, they're arguing. What are you talking about? I don't know. They're arguing. What's happening? They're leaving. Why? I don't know. It's like you better get out of that car and kill them right now.
Yeah, that's her like the most aggressive she is in the
Yeah.
whole movie. Like, you better get out there and shoot him
But
now.
I love the other
And then
guy that's like
like if I was an
watching him.
assassin, I would also be like,
That guy that's watching him the whole time from the window. That you're like trying to
yeah,
figure out. You're like, why does this guy want to kill him? Or is he the backup plan? Like, is he supposed to kill Miguel Ferrer if the bomb doesn't go off or something? It's like, nope, he wants to get revenge on him for giving up all their secrets to the general while he had him.
he's the Tijuana cartel dude with his greasy ass hair, like his greased back hair, like his metal briefcase when he leaves.
I mean, he's the better assassin though because he like even Catherine Zeta-Jones when he says he tells her like I don't do guns. They're not cool enough. I got to do explosions. And it's like that other guy's like, nope, I'm just going to stay here with this gun and wait till I can get a good shot on you and then kill you instantly.
He might not be a good assassin either because the point that he makes is oh, you shoot a person 3 times and then they somehow still revive them. He needs to resort to an explosion because there's no other way for him to take somebody out. I can't remember. What's his? Does he have like an assassin name? I can't remember.
They call it like Flowers or something.
No. Okay.
We also get we get that new technology for cocaine too. That's kind of like, I guess you'd say it's a little bit of like there's foreshadowing because you keep seeing that same. It's like on trucks and billboards and stuff. There's like some weird like hairless chihuahua looking character that they keep showing like multiple times, and it's like, and you do start to get to the point where you're like, why do they keep showing that? Like it's not even a character that I think it's made up for the movie. Like it's not like Mickey Mouse or anything. But then when she pulls out that doll and that guy's like, "Oh yeah, smuggling drugs inside the dolls. You don't think we've already tried that before? Like they'll just find the drugs in the dolls." And she's like, "No, I don't think you understand. The doll is the drugs."
He probably, I mean, it's probably supposed to be Mickey Mouse, more or less,
Yeah.
because they're not able to afford to have that in their movie. They're going to get sued. But I do like that scene too, where like, yeah, the drugs are the doll. They're not in the doll. And what's that guy's name? Is he Benjamin Bratt?
Yeah.
Is that something like that?
Don't act like you don't know who Benjamin
He's
Bratt
another
is.
one. He's in it for Bratt. That's what I said. You thought it Brad?
No, I
You thought
said don't
Brad?
pretend like you don't know who he is.
I
You're
can't
like,
remember what
that
show he
guy.
does. Well, I can't remember what show he was on, but was it like NYPD Blue or something? I felt way wrong
Probably.
about. He was on something for years, but he's only in this scene. He's only in this movie for 5 minutes tops, and yeah, I just love that scene where he's like, "You do the cocaine," and she's like, "I'm pregnant. I won't. You don't have a deal." And then it's like a few minutes, and she's like, "Fine, we don't have a deal." And he's like, "Son of a bitch. Okay, I'll try. I'll try it." I just love that. Like, oh shit, that's good shit. But it's a great movie. Everything works out in the end for everybody.
Yeah.
Just like a very happy ending for literally every single person in this movie. They either end up in heaven or just everything's working out very well for them. And you do have a little bit of like foreshadowing, like ambiguous type thing with Don Cheadle bugging Catherine Zeta-Jones's husband in the movie. Like he's like, your people killed my partner. I'm still gonna take you out. Which I'm sure if there was traffic too, he would just probably be killed. Like he's too small to probably actually be able to really take them out. And I do like the scene too when they're like, unfortunately, Eduardo's dead, so this case has to be dropped. And they're like, woo, that's a total surprise.
Yeah.
We weren't expecting that to happen at all.
That happened, yeah. Yeah.
And then Benicio del Toro did get his ball filled or for the lights for the kids in the park because, people love baseball and parks and nobody doesn't love those two things.
Yeah. Michael Douglas retires to actually take care of his family.
Yep. He listens now.
Yeah. It's like, I'm not an alcoholic. Just need to come home and drink some scotch because I'm bored to death by my family.
Mm-hmm. I do like that scene with his daughter. That's the first scene where she's freebasing and she's like, "This is like freebasing," and Topher Grace is like, "No, this is freebasing. This is exactly freebasing." And then she does it in her bathroom where it's like real obvious. But I do like that moment where he gets home and you can hear her clicking the little lighter, and he's like, "God damn it, what are you doing in there? Get out of there!" And again, too, she's like extremely sweaty. That's how you know somebody's on drugs if they're just drenching in sweat. They're just like just nonstop sweat. They're all on the drugs. Hey, whatever.
Yeah.
This was a pretty big Academy Award contender too, and then I feel like it's kind of had its copycats. Like you brought up Crash in this episode. I feel like Crash is just it's trying so hard to be this movie. It succeeded.
Crash,
I guess
Crash is the traffic
of
how do you phrase it? Crash is the traffic of racism.
Yeah. And also, speaking of it, off subject a little bit, David Cronenberg was like so fucking pissed that his movie was Crash already existed. He's like, Can't call your movie Crash. My movie's the Crash movie.
This was a good year for Soderbergh too. He got 2 films nominated in the same year.
What's his other one?
Aaron
What's his
Brockovich.
other 2000 movie? Oh shit.
It was the
Okay, yeah.
same year. It has I think Albert Finney's in both movies too. I think that's like the connection between those two.
Oh yeah, I forgot about
I think
him.
he's her boss in Aaron Brockovich. So I think that's the only actor that's in both of those films at the same time.
I mean, yeah, with all this like huge cast of everybody, people love him. People love his work. They keep coming back to
He
him.
works with
Like,
I mean, he works with the same people all the time. I mean, we mentioned, yeah, Benicio del Toro, Don Cheadle. They've continued to pop up in his movies. So there's something about the way that he works that everyone really likes. I don't know. It just seems like you said before, he doesn't really have like a super strong style that's in particular to anything. I think it's why he's able to work pretty well in a lot of different genres, whether it's crime movies, horror movies, comedies.
yeah, and I was thinking too, like other directors that are like that, and like even to an extent, I was thinking about the Coen brothers, but like their humor is pretty much the same in all their movies. Like they have that same style of humor. But if you had shown somebody Big Lebowski and then show them No Country for Old Men, I'm sure they would never realize that those were the same directors for those two movies. Soderbergh's just like I like this guy works so fucking hard at like he does so much at once at any given time. I don't like does the guy doesn't believe he tried
Yeah, I was
retiring
about to
once
say he's
too, and then he just
retired
came
and
back.
then unretired.
Yeah, now he just makes like a billion movies. Like he's
He's
constantly
doing
making
movies. He's
movies
doing
and watching
TV.
things. I love too because he released his list at the end of every year of like movies he watched, books he read, TV shows that he watched, and like this last year's list was fucking funny. It's just like Curb Your Enthusiasm. He saw Jaws twice. Then he watched like a Star Wars Attack of the Clones. Like like he's all over the place with everything that he's watched. What else did he do? What's his movie that's coming out? Black Bag. Did you see the trailer for Black
Yeah,
Bag?
I didn't see the trailer for that. No.
So he has a trailer for Black Bag, which I think comes out in a couple months. And the movie that currently came out, Presents, that is his. So it just shows you he's got 2 movies this year. Black Bag made me laugh because it was on his list too. Like I watched Black Bag, watch Black Bag again. It's like you watched your own movie. Like, yeah, you have to watch your own movie. You have to watch the final cut of it. He's like, I'm counting it. It's a movie. You know, at this stage, it's a movie, so I'm counting it.
Yeah, he's an interesting guy. Another movie of his, I think that I've really enjoyed recently. It was something like Logan Lucky. That's another great movie.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say The Informant.
No,
Logan Lucky is good.
yeah, The Informant's great. Like I said, he is really good at comedy. But yeah, he does have like you compared him to the Coen brothers, and I think that is a good assessment because he has that. He can kind of do a lot of different things, but his comedy style is definitely different from theirs, even. But he does have that weirdly specific type of comedy. I think the moment I always think of that is the guys holding everyone up in prison, and they've got like hostages, and they have that whole scene where it's like I can't get you the wins of winners. It hasn't been published. And the guy's like, that's bullshit.
You're lying to
George
us.
R. R.
Yeah.
Martin was supposed to have
He
that turned
told
in 2 years ago. He's like, I know. It says on the Wikipedia
he
page.
promised.
It says on the Wikipedia page he was real busy and he's gotten behind. Those guys that transferred in knew all about the dragons. Well, I think they were watching the TV show. Those have gone past the books. We can't get the books.
It's such a beautiful moment because that guy comes out of fucking nowhere, like just pushes through everybody to talk to the warden. It's a beautiful scene. But yeah, even like he's done some really good. What the hell was that movie with the girl that was like the boxer or whatever? Gina, whatever. She's like on the blacklist now for being insane. She was in Star Wars and shit. What's her name?
I think I know which one you're talking about, but I don't know the name of the movie.
I can't remember it, but she was like an assassin, and she had that like unique fighting style.
Oh
She's
yeah,
like
Haywire.
fighting Michael Fass. Haywire, yeah. She's fighting Michael Fassbender stuff. So it's like he's doing this action scene, and the action's like pretty fucking great in it too. It's like I feel like everything he really gets into, he does very well.
Yeah, He's got his other
more interested in
Benicio del
crime.
Toro project, Che.
Che was great, and he was the first one to use the red camera for that. Like totally digital, no all natural lighting. Matt Damon cameo.
Always got to have a
Probably the
Matt
first
Damon
Matt Damon
cameo.
cameo.
Always got to have a good.
Well, there's always Matt Damon cameos now, but when Che came out, was there? I think that was like, that's the first real Matt Damon cameo. And that's when Matt Damon's like, you know what? I don't have to be the lead actor. I can just be an expensive cameo.
I mean, I'm going to say I've probably enjoyed Matt Damon's cameos more than a lot of his recent performances as the lead actor in film. I've preferred his random cameos.
Well, you still didn't watch Driveway Dolls, did you?
No, still haven't gotten around to that one.
Well, maybe when I can, I'll put it in our
figure
connectivity.
out a way to get it in there.
It's not a great movie. I don't think it's a terrible movie. I think it's somewhere in between. But his performance in that is like honestly a highlight. Like really, it's worth watching. It's not a long movie, hour and a half. Just watch it just for that performance.
Yeah.
It's just like so batshit insane that you're just glad that he's in it. But we'll get there eventually. I already know my next movie. I'll tell you afterwards.
Yeah. Don't tell it
yet. You'll be able to figure it out, I think. Probably pretty easily. It's not as complicated as this. I tried. I'm like, I can't fucking figure out what the hell the connectivity is going to be with this movie. But that's the fun of it. That's the fun.
It can be tough sometimes. Sometimes you got to have, it's a loose connection.
Hey, I said the looser is fine. Doesn't have to. I'm not going to fight you.
Yeah, you got there eventually.
I could 100% diskagree with your connection being like, that's not even a connection in the movie. And I would just be like, whatever, we'll just move on. If you think it connects, we'll say it connects.
Yeah.
But 2 weeks from now, we're going to do our Oscars episode. We're going to do it a little bit differently. We're not going to be talking about, it's not going to be afterwards with us basically talking about what we liked about it. We're going to do our predictions beforehand, and it's going to be more so predictions episodes. So that'll come out, and then we'll jump back into the connectivity shit. So you don't even get the connectivity episode for another month. That's how it works around here. 2025. Justin and Chuck take their time.
Doing whatever.
I mean, there might be a chance. I mean, if we do something that, like, I don't know. If you want to tie something into like Lord of the Rings, I feel like we could do 3 episodes in a row, but and then take a break. But I don't think anything else really calls for that. So
yeah,
every other week, and we'll have some guests, and we may or may not have Chuck. That's probably the biggest one. No, if we're gonna have him or not.
You just don't know.
No, wish I did, but I don't. Anyways, I think that's wraps things up. You good?
I think we hit all the points.
I'm sure there's something we didn't hit.
It's a long movie. It's got a lot of stuff going on.
I mean, I did like his Benicio del Toro in the pool, so they weren't wearing like a wire.
Yeah.
He's like, where do you want to meet? Safe. And he's just like they're like a public pool.
Shot's,
I was like, yeah, we're not hiding.
The shot's great of like the two of them in the pool with the one guy like just standing behind the other guy, like just they look so awkward.
Yeah, like surrounded by families. There's just these grown-ass men having a conversation in the pool.
I mean, he does a good job, though, for this movie being 2.5 hours. It really doesn't feel that long because there's hardly a scene that goes by that's more than, like, 2 or 3 minutes at a time. Like, you only get, you get 2 or 3 minutes of Benicio del Toro. Then you get 2 or 3 minutes of Michael Douglas. Then it's 2 or 3 minutes of Don Cheadle. Like, there's no long scenes in this film.
There's so many shots too, like that. The shot where they're the newspaper articles coming up while Benicio del Toro's like busting all these people.
Yeah.
It's like almost hard to read all of that while like seeing what he literally busts like 9 people over the course of like this 30 seconds of reading of a newspaper. Yeah, and Soderbergh's like, I don't really care. I'm trying to be very clear about where these people are, so I'm gonna keep throwing that shit up. But yeah, see it. Chuck, you picked another Criterion movie.
I know. Always going after those ones. That'll be the overarching connection to everything. It's all It's all Criterion.
Mine's usually what's on my shelf, but the next one is not on my shelf, and it's not a movie I've seen.
Oh.
And I don't think it's a movie you've seen.
Well, I guess
I'll
we'll
tell you
have
this,
to
I
see.
really was I didn't do it, but I was really considering Substance because of Dennis Quaid, but I didn't want to go with another actor, and I would love to talk about it, but I want to try to do some more things I haven't seen. So I've been pretty good so far of I haven't seen it, or I know you haven't seen it. And I think next week we both haven't seen it. So it's going to be another one of those. So if it's terrible, sorry, but word on the street is it's not terrible. If you believe the street.
I don't know if I believe that.
All right, that's enough of my bullshit. We'll see you next 2 weeks. 2 weeks from now. Oscars. Let's go. Thanks for listening. We are Cinema d'Amore. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter to stay up to date with news and information on upcoming episodes. Find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Podbean, Spotify, Amazon Music, Audible, Pandora, Alexa, or iHeartRadio. It would be greatly appreciated if you subscribe to our podcast on your platform of choice. We also appreciate feedback, so rate us, review us, and let us know what you think. And above all else, thank you for listening.